Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ella. Today we're going to be talking about one of the topics that a lot of you expressed also a lot of interest in, and this has to do with abundance in our life, how we're going to make money, how we're going to become prosperous. So something I want to mention beforehand, and this is going to be astrology, video. So if you know how to generate your chart, feel free to go ahead and then just follow the things that I'm going to be mentioning. If you don't know how to generate your chart, please make sure you check out either my video about past life, astrology of past life, or astrology of how you're going to be meeting your spouse. There's a little quick segment there in the very beginning of the video where I walk you through what you need to do to generate your chart. It's very easy, and if you need to know how to do it, just make sure you check out those videos or watch those videos completely as well. But anyway, first thing I want to mention is that for whatever reason, and I think a lot of maybe people will disagree with me about this thing, but a lot of people been saying things like, oh, Jupiter is how you're gonna get rich, you're gonna get this and that. Even though I don't completely disagree with that, what I have to say here is that looking at Jupiter as the primary sort of like its purpose being getting wealthy or getting famous or getting whatever is just how to say, what's the good analogy I could say? It's the same as if, let's say, I would be using, I don't know, this stone, rose quartz stone, to, I don't know, maybe like using it as a drumstick. Sure, I could use it, but it's not what it was made for. Jupiter is really wisdom. It's also blessings. And sure, blessings could represent finances and all these things. But again, unless Jupiter is the ruler of your second house, or is also closely linked to your 8th house or any kind of money-giving houses in astrology, it's not really, again, it could bring you money, sure, it could make you wealthy, it could make you successful, but it's not this, how to say, it's not, the first thing we look at. For example, my chart, I am Scorpio ascendant, Sagittarius is in my second house. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, so it becomes the ruler of my second house. So sure, for me, I do need to pay attention to Jupiter things because, again, it's connected to my second house. But let's say if your second house could be, I don't know, Cancer or some other sign, it would be that much more important to attend to that planet first and to that sign as well, and any aspects it receives before we jump into Jupiter. And again, I'm not saying that Jupiter is not bringing you these things. It's more like, again, its primary purpose, and especially in the spiritual knowledge, it's wisdom. Jupiter is a planet of wisdom. Jupiter is a planet of wisdom. Jupiter is a planet of blessings as well, because usually when you have that wisdom, whether it's knowledge or skills or whatever, or spiritual connection, you get some kind of blessings. So if you want money to be a part of the blessing, sure, it could be that. Could be, but not necessarily. It's also planet of husband in a woman's chart. So, having said all that, what do we need to look for in order to see how can we become successful, how can we make money, and how can we even, gain our fortune? So for these things, actually, it's very easy. What I've seen the most, because there's a lot of things a person can be good at, there's a lot of things a person can do for a living, but the way a person actually ends up making money is all about their second house, second and also 8th house, because 8th house is how we receive from others as well. So look at what's happening in your second house. What planet do you have sitting there? What sign do you have sitting there? For example, I'll walk you through my chart. I'll even expose my own chart for this purpose. So let's see. In my chart, and I like to use, I think it's North Indian, even though I'm using Western calculation. So in my chart, I'm a Scorpio rising, so it is Sagittarius in my 9th house. So Scorpio rising here, this is your first house. Sagittarius in the second house. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So where is my Jupiter? My Jupiter sits in the 8th house. It sits there with Venus, Mercury in the sign of Gemini. So what I want to understand first is, okay, so first, what does Jupiter represent? So Jupiter, first of all, represents foreign countries, and it's true, I never made even a single cent in the country where I was born. First money I've ever made was after I relocated to the US when I was very young, and then so first thing is foreign travel. Second, it also has to do with education. So you could be needing to have that degree or some knowledge in order to start generating income or money. Third, it also has to do with spirituality, with travel, with opening your mind, broadening your horizons. And this is all true. These were all the things that is throughout my life has brought me some prosperity, one form or the other. Now, what's even more important, we need to see where the ruling planet of this Jupiter. So we have here Sagittarius, right? So the ruling planet, in my case, becomes Jupiter. In your chart, it could be some other placement. So in my case, Jupiter sits where? It sits in the sign of Gemini in the 8th house. So again, for you, it could be other planet, it could be moon, it could be something else sitting in a certain house. But look at that planet, look at the sign where it's in, and look at what other planets there, because this could be all significators of how you could make money. For example, for me, I could probably generate a lot through other people. It's true, I had partners who were taking care of me in the past, hopefully in the future as well. Gemini has to do with communication. Throughout my speaking and writing ability, very often I was able to support myself. Now, Venus and Mercury could have to do also with arts, with creativity, with fashion even. I did work in these industries as well. Could work with management of other people's resources, or even, you know, compliance, different things like investigations, all these things. And all these things were somewhere a little bit down my path, things that I've done for a living. And more than anything, 8th house here has to do with spouses' money, partners' money, spirituality, occult, merging with other people's resources. So these are all the areas where I, let's say, could generate money. For you, it could be in the 7th house, which would show more like a partnership, a business partnership. It could be in the 5th house, which could show something like more of a creativity, children even. It could be in the 3rd house, which could represent media. It could be in a 10th house, which could just represent a lot of things through growth of your career. You could generate more abundance and wealth and all these things. So this is the first thing, and I'm not going to go so much in the detail of that, because you just need to, like, astrology is very easy, really. You just need to understand the basic things about each planet and each sign, and then intuitively and also sort of like build upon that and intuitively start combining things together. Like, even though I've learned so many different techniques throughout my life, very often when I do a quick reading, I look at the most basic things and they are true. So it's, you know, simplicity doesn't mean that it's inferior in any way. Now, second thing we need to look at when we analyze how somebody can make money, how can somebody actually gain extra abundance, because that's the thing. 2nd house will show us how we support ourselves, things like how we gain money, what our savings are, all of these things. 8th house also shows credit, it shows things like even inheritances, it shows things, you know, everything that's sort of like unearned income in a way, if we can use that financial term for that. Now, in terms of going that extra, right, because a lot of us, maybe, you know, I have this dream coming back to me now, recently it started. A lot of us want to have that extra money, extra fortune maybe in our life. So how are we gonna make that? So for that, we need to look at the part of fortune. I've analyzed charts of a lot of people who've actually made it past the middle class, you know, whether it's more affluent people like millionaires, billionaires, even like celebrities or whatever. And I've noticed that for a lot of them, yes, sure, their 2nd house and 8th house were important. They were connected to how they made their money. But more importantly, it was part of fortune. To calculate part of fortune, I would just say find, Google part of fortune, calculate part of fortune calculator. Software will generate it for you. I would just say, to be safe and to make sure you calculate it correctly, try to cross-check at least with 2, 3, 4, maybe even different platforms to see if they are calculating the same result. There is even a formula mathematically how to calculate it. It's a bit more difficult. But when you look at your part of fortune, it will be located in certain sign and a certain house as well. And the house and the sign where that part of fortune is will reveal where you can actually go that extra mile in achieving that abundance, achieving fame or fortune, all these things. It's called part of fortune, right? So the sign where it sits in, the planet where it sits in, any kind of aspects that it receives, and the house where it sits in will show you where you can be more fortunate in throughout your life. For example, my part of fortune sits in the 5th house in the sign of Pisces with my North Node. So in a way, it's a great placement, but it's also a challenging placement, because I can only become that extra if I will throw myself out there in terms of the most difficult lessons of my North Node, which is creativity, standing strong by myself, expressing my voice, like, and all these things, which is very difficult for me because I tend to still resonate sometimes with my South Node in 11th house more. So, but for you it could be different. You could have part of fortune in 4th house, you could have part of fortune in the 8th house, wherever it is. This is the area. For some of you, it's going to be very easy to tap into that energy. For others, it's going to be a little more challenging, especially if Saturn is there or any kind of like Saki planet is there. I don't want to say Saki planet. Saturn is not. It's a very valuable planet, but you know, sometimes it just slows things down, slows our progress a little bit. So this is where you're gonna find that one, you know, the one secret about your chart, which will help you, you know, grow more. Part of fortune is very important. I would say it's more important even than Jupiter in assessing how you're gonna, you know, get that extra in your life. And it's very important to tap into that energy, because again, with your second house, with your eighth house, yes, sure, you can find ways how you can make enough money to survive, to even be okay. But when we talk about going that extra, this is part of fortune which we need to look at. Another thing is that I want to mention is that, of course, in the chart of a person, there could be also extra indications of wealth. There are certain fixed stars which tend to produce more wealth in the chart of a person. There's different combinations as well. It doesn't mean that if you don't have these combinations that you cannot achieve these things, because again, you're a human being with a free will, and through hard work and dedication, if you of course really desire these things, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. But sometimes, let's say if a person, even if he tends to screw things up more, but he has a lot of very, very positive indications in his chart, strong stars of wealth and all these things, what tends to happen is, even if he screws up a little bit more, basically he gets sometimes this extra chances to rebound. Again, I don't know if it's forever like this, but it's just what I've learned and what I've seen. Basically, a person's presented with some kind of extra opportunities. I myself have experienced that. I've been very self-destructive when I was very young, and somehow I always was able to get out of it early on in my life. Again, have I missed opportunities? Probably yes, but have I gone to being completely like in a bad place? Thanks God, no. So this is important. This is where those extra powerful stars and strong combinations in our chart take place. Again, besides that, there is also stars of wealth, which is certain stars that you can look at. It's Aldebaran. There is a bunch of different other stars. I will make a probably separate video about this topic, because each star requires its own attention here. Like, we need to calculate it, we need to find it. But yeah, basically, for you to find how you're going to be more successful and more wealthy in this lifetime, it's not necessarily about Jupiter, unless again Jupiter is connected to your second house and part of fortune, but it is about your second house, your eighth house, second house ruler placement, the sign, the house, and also the part of fortune. Really find your part of fortune, see the sign where it sits and the house, and whether it's about creativity or about something related to homes, or you even intimate relationships with other people. Ask yourself, is this something you ever feel drawn to? If you ever had a dream about, you know, something related to that area of life, and this is where the answer is going to be most likely. What else I was going to mention? But yeah, it's a really beautiful technique. So let me know in the comments below where your second house is, where your part of fortune is. I'll be very interested to read about it. And one thing I was going to mention is, again, Jupiter will for some people be more important. For example, for me, my second house, again, that I mentioned, is in the sign of Sagittarius. So Jupiter is the ruler of my second house, so again becomes more important. It's also aspecting both the ruler of my sun and the moon. Not aspecting, but sits together with them. And part of fortune that I have is in Pisces. Again, Jupiter becomes the ruler of my part of fortune. So yes, for me, Jupiter will probably be one of also the most important planets. But if, let's say, your second house is in the sign of Leo or in the sign of Cancer, and Sun rules it, or Moon rules it, or even Mercury rules it, if it's Gemini there, these other planets could sometimes be even more important in analyzing what is it you need to do in order to attract that prosperity and that success in your life. So anyway, guys, this is where I'm going to end this video. I'm going to make the next video about the stars of wealth, how to find them. And thank you so much for watching, and we're going to talk soon. Bye bye.